Ambassador straightened his tie and smiled at the assembly of alien dignitaries before him. He had practiced this smile for 15 years. It was warm, non-threatening, and completely fake. But the Galactic Council didn't need to know that. The council chamber was enormous. 7 species sat in their designated seats, arranged in a half-circle that towered over the small human delegation. Each species had evolved on different worlds, looked completely different from one another, and shared only one common trait. They all thought humans were harmless. Was fine with that, for now. Honored members of the council, began, his voice carrying the same polite tone he always used. Earth thanks you for allowing us to attend another session. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn from your wisdom. The ambassador barely looked up. There were tall, scaled creatures with too many arms and eyes that glowed a dull red. They had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years and made sure everyone knew it. Their ambassador, whose name translated to something humans couldn't pronounce, waved one clawed hand dismissively. Yes, yes, let us proceed to today's business, they said. We have important matters to discuss. Sat down. Behind him, Admiral Na sat quietly in her civilian clothes. She wasn't technically military today. The Council had requested that Earth send only diplomats to these meetings. They found military uniforms aggressive. So Na wore a simple gray suit and kept her mouth shut, but her eyes tracked every movement in the room. Next to her sat the trade representative. He was already taking notes on his tablet, recording everything. That was his job. Watch, listen, and report back to Earth. He was very good at his job. The ambassador stood, his scaled body reflecting the chamber's lights. The Council recognizes the ongoing burden of maintaining galactic civilization. The elder species have carried this weight for. We provide security, share technology, and maintain order. This is expensive work. Felt his smile tighten slightly. He knew where this was going. Therefore, they continued, the Council proposes Regulation 7743. This regulation acknowledges the hierarchy of civilization. Established species have earned their position through age and wisdom. Junior species benefit from our protection and guidance. It is only fair that they contribute to the costs. A holographic document appeared in the center of the chamber. Read it quickly. His smile didn't change, but his fingers gripped his chair's armrest a bit harder. The regulation was simple. Any species that had joined the Council in the last 100 years would pay a civilization tax. They would give 40% of their food production to the elder species. They would also provide raw materials, manufactured goods, and access to their systems for Council military vessels. Only one species had joined in the last 100 years: humanity. This is theft, thought, but he didn't say it. Instead, he raised his hand politely. Ambassador wishes to speak, the Council mediator announced. Stood and smiled at everyone. Honored Council members, Earth appreciates your consideration. Might we have time to review this proposal? It's quite detailed, and we would like to consult with our government. The ambassador laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Consult? There is nothing to consult. This is not a negotiation, human. The Council has decided. We vote in 48 hours. You will comply. Other Council members nodded. The collective mind, a species that existed as millions of small organisms acting as one intelligence, spoke in its eerie unified voice. The human species is young. They do not understand their place. This regulation teaches them. It is for their benefit. Smile never wavered. We simply request time to inform our people. 48 hours is quite sudden. The vote will proceed, they said flatly. This session is adjourned. The Council chamber emptied quickly. The elder species left without another word to the human delegation. They had more important things to discuss. Humanity was just a minor inconvenience. As soon as the massive doors closed, Na leaned forward. Did they really just? Yes, interrupted, they did. looked up from his tablet. They're serious. This isn't a negotiating tactic. They genuinely expect us to hand over 40% of Earth's food. And accept their military in our space, Na added. Those council vessels would be occupation forces. Sat down and rubbed his temples. The smile was gone now. They think we're weak. They've always thought we're weak. We've let them think that, Na said. Yes, we have. Looked at both of them. Because Earth Command decided 15 years ago that it was safer to be underestimated, to smile, to be polite, to learn everything we could about them while they learned nothing about us. Do we call home? Asked. Nodded, we call home, and we let them decide. Na stood up. They'll want to know our assessment. Our assessment, said slowly, is that the council species have been at peace for so long that they've forgotten what real conflict looks like. Their weapons are outdated. Their tactics are ceremonial. Their fleets are designed for parades, not battles. They have numbers, pointed out. They do, agreed, but we have something they don't. What's that? We come from Earth, a world that spent 200,000 years trying to kill us through disease, predators, weather, and geology. When we finally conquered our planet, we spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other. We built weapons that could end our entire species, multiple times. Na smiled. It wasn't a diplomatic smile. And then we came to the stars. And we've been very, very polite, continued. Because we hoped we'd found something better than war. We hoped the galaxy would be different. But it's not, said quietly. No, it's not. These species just hide their exploitation behind bureaucracy and regulations. Stood and gathered his things. Come on, we need to make the call. They walked through the embassy's corridors in silence. The building was small, tucked away in the corner of the council's massive station, just like humanity's position in galactic politics. Small, insignificant, easy to ignore. Wondered how long that would last. In his office, he activated the quantum communication link to Earth. It would take a few minutes to establish a secure connection. While they waited, Na asked the question all three were thinking. What do you think Earth Command will say? Looked at her. For the first time in 15 years, he smiled a real smile. I think they're going to tell us we can stop being polite. The communication terminal beeped. Connection established. Earth Command, this is Ambassador. We have a situation. On Earth, lights began turning on in military installations that weren't supposed to exist. Across human space, ships that were registered as cargo vessels received new orders. And in the depths of Earth's oceans, in mountains, and in orbital stations hidden behind sensor-dampening fields, humanity's true military began to wake up. The Council had made a mistake. They had forgotten the most important rule about intelligent species. The quiet ones are often the most dangerous. The holographic display showed 5 faces: Admiral, Director Sung, and 3 civilian leaders from Earth's government. They had been listening to his report for 20 minutes without interruption. Admiral spoke first. She was 70 years old, had gray hair cut short, and eyes that had seen too many wars. Of course, the Council didn't know Earth had fought any wars. Humanity's pre-contact history was carefully edited in all official records. 40% of our agricultural output, said, plus raw materials, manufactured goods, and military access to our systems. That's what the regulation says, confirmed. Director Sung leaned forward. He ran Human Intelligence, the agency responsible for gathering information on all Council species, and they're voting in 48 hours. No negotiation. They made that very clear. One of the civilian leaders, Minister, shook her head. They're treating us like a conquered people. We're not at war, but they want the spoils of war anyway. That's an accurate assessment, said. Admiral looked at something off-screen, probably a tactical display. Nah, you're there. What's your evaluation of Council military readiness? Na stood where the camera could see her. Admiral, they're not ready for anything. I've watched their military exercises. They're ceremonial at best. Their captains have never fired weapons in combat. Their tactical programs are centuries old. They rely entirely on overwhelming numbers and the assumption that no one would dare fight them. And their technology, inferior to ours in every measurable category. Their weapons are slower. Their shields are weaker. Their sensors can't detect half of what we've deployed. They don't use AI for anything except basic ship functions because they're afraid of it. Nodded slowly. Director Sung confirmed that assessment. Sung pulled up several files. We've had operatives in Council space for 12 years. We've analyzed their military infrastructure, hacked their communication networks, and mapped every defensive installation. Na is correct. They're not a threat militarily. Their strength comes from the fact that no one has challenged them in 3,000 years. Until now, said. Until now, Sung agreed. Minister spoke up. Let me be clear about something. Earth's government does not want war. We came to space hopping to find partners, friends, maybe even teachers. We've been trying to be good neighbors. We have, said, and they interpreted our politeness as weakness. Because that's what elder species do, Sung added. We've studied their history. Every younger species that joined the council eventually became subordinate to the elder ones. They use economic pressure, political isolation, and the threat of military action. They've been doing it for. Leaned back in her chair. So we have a choice. Accept this regulation and become their subjects, or reject it and face whatever comes next. There's a third option, Na said quietly. Everyone looked at her. We show them exactly who they're dealing with. We've been hiding our strength for 15 years. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Silence filled the communication channel. Finally, one of the other civilian leaders spoke. His name was Minister, and he was responsible for Earth's economy. If we reveal our true military capacity, the Council will see it as a threat. They might unite against us. Or they might realize they can't afford to, Sung countered. Intelligence suggests the Council species barely tolerate each other. They dominate everyone else. The collective mind resents them. 3 smaller species only stay in the Council because they're afraid of what happens if they leave. The whole structure is held together by routine and the absence of real challenges. You're saying if we push back, the Council might collapse, said. I'm saying they're weaker than they look. Admiral raised her hand for silence. Here's what I want to know. Ambassador, if Earth authorizes you to drop diplomatic protocols, can you deliver our message clearly? Met her eyes through the hologram. Admiral, I've been smiling at people I want to punch for 15 years. Yes, I can deliver the message. Na, if they send their fleet to Earth as a show of force, can we stop them? Na didn't hesitate. We can destroy them in under 30 minutes. Sung, if we need to demonstrate our intelligence capabilities, can you do it without revealing all our assets? I can show them enough to make them terrified and still keep 70% of our network hidden, Sung confirmed. Looked at the civilian leaders. Ministers, this is your decision. Earth Command can execute whatever policy you choose, but you need to understand what we're facing. The Council is testing us. If we submit now, we'll be submitting forever. They'll see us as a resource to exploit. Minister thought for a long moment, and if we fight? There will be casualties, said honestly. Probably not human casualties if our intelligence is correct, but Council forces will be destroyed. Ships will be lost. The political situation will change dramatically. That's what I'm worried about, said. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. No, said. They won't, but maybe that's better. Right now they see us as harmless. After this, they'll see us as equals, or at least as something dangerous enough to respect. The discussion continued for another hour. They talked about economic consequences, diplomatic fallout, and military options. They reviewed intelligence reports and tactical assessments. They debated the moral implications of revealing weapons they'd kept hidden. Finally, Minister called for a vote. It was unanimous. "Ambassador," she said formally, "Earth authorizes you to reject Regulation 7743. Furthermore, you are authorized to terminate protocol courtesy. Humanity will no longer pretend to be harmless. Show the Council what we really are." "Understood," said. Admiral added her own orders. "Nah, you're officially back on active duty. Put on your uniform. I want the Council to see what an Earth military officer looks like. Director Sung, prepare operation. If they don't believe our words, we'll show them our capabilities." "Yes, Admiral," both replied. The civilian leaders signed off, and Sung remained on the line. Said quietly, "I know what I'm asking you to do. For 15 years you've been the friendly face of humanity. Now I need you to be something else." "I understand, Admiral." "Do you? Because once we drop the mask, we can't put it back on. The Council will either accept us as peers or they'll try to destroy us. There's no middle ground after this." Thought about the ambassador's dismissive laugh. He thought about being called junior species and treated like a child. He thought about the regulation that would make Earth into a farm for alien empires. "Admiral, I've been waiting 15 years to stop smiling at these people. I'm ready." Almost smiled. "Good. You have 48 hours until their vote. Use them well." The connection ended. The office fell silent. "Looked at, so we're really doing this." "We're really doing this," confirmed. Nuh was already pulling up her uniform from a sealed container she'd kept in the embassy. "I'll request an emergency council session. That should get their attention." "And I'll prepare our message," said. He sat down at his desk and began writing. The words came easily. He'd been composing this speech in his head for years. Outside the embassy, the council station continued its normal routine. Ships came and went. Diplomats met and argued about trivial matters. The elder species assumed their power was eternal. They had no idea that in a small office, in a building they barely noticed, 3 humans were about to change everything. Finished his speech. He read it over once, then sent it to Earth Command for approval. He didn't expect any changes. The message was simple. Humanity was done being polite. Nuh finished putting on her uniform. It was black, with silver insignia that the Council had never seen before. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. "How do I look?" she asked. Dangerous said. "Perfect." Stood up. "Request the emergency session. Tomorrow morning. Tell them humanity has an urgent matter to present." "They're not going to like that," Nuh said. "No," agreed, "they're not." The council chamber looked the same as it had the day before. Same massive space, same 7 species sitting in their elevated seats, same sense of superiority hanging in the air. But something was different. Ambassador wasn't smiling. He stood at the human delegation's platform, wearing a formal black suit with a red tie. His face was blank, emotionless. Behind him stood Admiral Nuh in her full military uniform. The council members stared at her outfit with visible confusion. Several whispered to each other. The ambassador spoke first. "Ambassador, you requested this emergency session, and you brought. What is that person wearing?" "This is Admiral Nuh, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Fleet," said. His voice was flat, without any of the warmth the council was used to hearing. "She is here in her official capacity." Defense Fleet. The eyes flickered with amusement. The council was told humanity maintained only cargo vessels and exploration ships. "The council was told what we chose to share," replied. Silence fell across the chamber. This was not how the human ambassador spoke. This was not how junior species addressed the council. "You will watch your tone," the said, his voice hardening. "We granted you this emergency session as a courtesy. Do not waste our time with theatrics." His expression didn't change. "Earth rejects Regulation 7743. We will not pay your civilization tax. We will not provide you with our resources. We will not allow Council military vessels in our space. Any attempt to enforce this regulation will be considered an act of war." The chamber erupted. All 7 species began speaking at once. The ambassador's scales shifted to a darker red, a sign of anger. The collective mind's unified voice rose in pitch. Smaller species looked shocked. "You dare threaten the Council," they roared. "You are one species, one tiny primitive species. We could crush Earth with a fraction of our forces." "You could try," Na said calmly. It was the first time she'd spoken in a council session. The turned his glowing eyes on her. "And who are you to speak in this chamber, human?" "I'm the person who commands the fleet that will destroy you if you try," Na replied. Her voice was professional, almost bored. "Impossible," the collective mind spoke up. "We have monitored human space for 15 years. We have scanned your systems. We have tracked your ships. You have no military fleet. You have no weapons capable of threatening Council forces." "You've seen what we wanted you to see," said Admiral Na stepped forward. "For 15 years, Earth has maintained a policy of strategic ambiguity. We built our defenses in secret. We developed weapons in hidden facilities. We trained our forces in locations you never found. While you were congratulating yourselves on accepting us into your council, we were preparing for the possibility that you would turn out to be exactly what you are." "And what are we?" they demanded. "Bullies," Na said simply. "Old, comfortable bullies who have forgotten that power requires maintenance." The ambassador stood. He was enormous, towering over his platform. "You insult the Council. You threaten its members. This will not stand. We will vote on Regulation 7743 as planned. And when you refuse to comply, we will teach you the cost of defiance." Nodded, "We understand. You've made your position clear. Then this session is." "However," interrupted, "before we end this conversation, I think you should see something." He gestured to who activated a holographic display. But it wasn't coming from the human delegation's equipment. The image appeared on the Council's own screens, every monitor in the chamber. "What is this?" the collective mind demanded. "You do not have access to our systems." "We've had access to your systems for 12 years, a new voice said. A human face appeared on every screen. He was young, maybe 30, with dark hair and cold eyes. "My name is Director Ho. I run Earth's intelligence operations." "Impossible," they said, but he sounded less certain now. "Let me show you what's possible," Ho said. The screens changed. They showed orbital views of the home world, military installations, classified weapon facilities, ship construction yards. Everything was labeled with detailed information about defenses, personnel, and vulnerabilities. The ambassador's scales went pale. The screens changed again. Now they showed the collective mind's central hub, the massive structure where billions of organisms connected to form their unified intelligence. The image zoomed in, showing security protocols, communication networks, and emergency systems. "Stop this," the collective mind screamed. Ho ignored them. The screens cycled through each council species, military bases, government buildings, defense networks. In some cases, the images were live feeds from security cameras inside classified facilities. "We know where everything is," Ho said calmly. "We know how many ships you have, where they're stationed, and what weapons they carry. We've cracked your military encryption. We've mapped your supply lines. We've identified every strategic asset in Council space." "This is an act of war," one of the smaller species shouted. "No," Ho replied. "This is information gathering. If we wanted war, you'd already be at war." The screens went dark. Then Ho appeared again, larger this time. "Ambassador gave you a warning. I'm giving you proof that the warning is real. If you push this, you will lose. Not because we want to fight you, but because we're very, very good at fighting and you're not." The image disappeared. The council's screens returned to normal. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The council members looked at each other with expressions ranging from shock to fear to anger. Finally, the ambassador sat down slowly. "Where did you get this information?" "We've been collecting it since we joined the council," said. "You welcomed us, gave us access to your station, allowed our ships to travel freely through council space. We used that access." "You've been spying on us," the said. "You've been underestimating us," countered. "We came to the stars hopping to find equals. Instead, we found empires that rule through intimidation. So we adapted." One of the smaller species, a timid race called the Shen, spoke up. "But you were always so polite, so friendly. You never objected to anything." "That's called intelligence gathering," Na said. "While you were talking, we were listening. While you were ignoring us, we were learning. And while you were assuming we were harmless, we were building the most advanced military in known space." "You're bluffing," the said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You're trying to frighten us with stolen images and bold claims. But when our fleet arrives at Earth, we'll see the truth." Admiral Na smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Admiral wanted me to tell you something," she said. "Please send your fleet. We've been training for this for 15 years, and our people would appreciate the live fire exercise." "You want us to attack you?" the collective mind asked, confused. "We want you to believe us," said. "But if you don't, if you insist on testing our capabilities, then yes, send your fleet. Let's settle this question once and for all." The ambassador stood again. He was visibly angry now, his scales shifting through colors that indicated rage. "You are arrogant. You have stolen information and created fictional weapons to intimidate us. The council sees through your deception." "Then prove it," Na said. "Send your grand fleet, come to Earth. Let's see who's deceiving who." The turn to the other council members. "I move that we vote immediately on Regulation 7743. And furthermore, I move that we dispatch the Grand Fleet to Earth to ensure compliance. This species needs to learn respect." 4 other species voted in agreement. Only the Shen and 1 other abstained. "The motion passes," the council mediator announced. "The vote on Regulation 7743 will proceed as scheduled. The Grand Fleet will deploy to Earth immediately following the vote." Nodded slowly. "Then we understand each other. When your fleet arrives, Admiral will be waiting." "Your Admiral will surrender," the said confidently, "or she will watch her planet burn." Na looked directly at the ambassador. "My Admiral doesn't surrender, but you're going to learn that very soon." The council session ended in chaos. Species were arguing, demanding security reviews, questioning how humans had penetrated their systems. The ambassador stormed out, already sending orders to his military. Back in the embassy, sat down heavily. The emotionless mask he'd worn finally cracked. "That went about as well as I expected." "They didn't believe us," said. "No, they thought we were bluffing." Na pulled out her communication device. "I need to contact Admiral. They are sending their grand fleet, 200 ships. They'll reach Earth in 16 hours. Looked at her. "Can we really stop them in 30 minutes? Na smiled. "We can stop them in 20, but wants to make sure the whole galaxy sees what happens when you threaten Earth." "How?" "The Council broadcasts all military actions on public channels. They like to intimidate younger species by showing their power. Is going to use that same broadcast to show them ours." Looked worried. "This is really happening. We're going to war with the Council." "No," said. "We're going to war with the... And when it's over, the rest of the Council is going to have to decide if they want peace or if they want to be next." The Grand Fleet arrived at Earth exactly on schedule. 200 ships, the pride of the supremacy, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive vessels, some over 2 kilometers long, covered in weapons and armor that had never been tested in real combat. Commander stood on the bridge of the flagship. He was a veteran officer with 50 years of service, though he'd never actually fought a war. Nobody in the military had. There hadn't been a real war in 3,000 years. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer said. "We are detecting minimal activity from human space. A few cargo vessels, some communications satellites. No military presence." Nodded, this was going exactly as expected. The humans had talked tough at the council, but faced with an actual fleet, they were hiding. "Open a communication channel to Earth. Let's give them one chance to surrender." "Channel open, Commander." "This is Commander of the Grand Fleet. You have violated Council regulations and threatened Council members. Surrender immediately, or we will take your planet by force. You have 5 minutes to respond." They waited. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of ship systems. At exactly 4 minutes, a response came through. "Fleet, this is Admiral of Earth Defense Forces. You are in violation of human space. Turn around and leave immediately." Laughed. "Admiral, you have no fleet. Our sensors show no military vessels in this system. You cannot defend yourselves." "Commander, I'm going to give you the same warning I gave the Council. Leave now or face the consequences." "The consequences?" Was genuinely amused now. "What consequences? You have nothing." "Then why are you still talking? If we're so helpless, just attack." Some amusement faded. "Very well, all ships prepare to advance. Battle formation. We'll show these humans what happens when you challenge the Council." The Grand Fleet began moving forward, 200 ships in perfect formation. They had practiced this maneuver hundreds of times. It was designed to look impressive, overwhelming, inevitable. Back on the Council station, every species was watching the live broadcast. The Council always transmitted military actions to discourage resistance. They wanted everyone to see what happened to those who them. Ambassador watched from his office. Na stood beside him. Neither spoke. The fleet crossed into the inner solar system. Earth was visible now, a blue marble hanging in space. Still no sign of human military vessels. "Commander," the tactical officer said, "I'm picking up some unusual readings near the asteroid belt." "What kind of readings?" "I'm not sure. They're very small objects, maybe maintenance drones or—" The sensors screamed in alarm. "Sir, multiple contacts. They're moving fast, very fast." Looked at his display. 17 objects had appeared on sensors, accelerating from the asteroid belt at speeds that shouldn't be possible. "What are those?" "Unknown, sir. They're traveling at 0.15 times the speed of light. That's impossible for mancraft." Unmanned then said, "Missiles." "Too large for missiles. They're ship-sized but moving like weapons." The 17 objects spread out, each targeting a different section of the fleet. They moved with precision that no living pilot could match. "Evasive maneuvers," ordered. "All ships scatter formation." It didn't matter. The human ships adjusted their courses before the ships even began moving. It was as if they knew what the enemy would do before they did it. The first human ship opened fire. A stream of projectiles shot out at incredible speeds. They weren't energy weapons. They were physical rounds, accelerated to a fraction of light speed by electromagnetic rails. The first ship exploded. No shields, no warnings. One moment it was there, the next it was debris. "Return fire," screamed. All ships return fire. The Grand Fleet's weapons activated. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles launched at the human vessels. Not one hit. The human ships moved like they were dancing, dodging everything with impossible precision. Meanwhile, more ships exploded. The human projectiles punched through armor like it wasn't there, and they never missed. Every shot hit exactly where it was aimed. "Commander, we're being jammed. Our communication systems are down. Our targeting computers are failing." "Override them. Switch to manual." "We're trying, sir. Something is hacking our systems." On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the surface, A young woman named sat at a tactical console. She was 23 years old and one of the best AI handlers in Earth's military. Around her, 17 screens showed feeds from 17 different AI-controlled warships. "Target Package Charlie, engage," she said calmly. "Targets Delta through Foxtrot, execute Maneuver 7. The AI ships responded instantly. They were faster, smarter, and more lethal than any crewed vessel could be. Each one carried quantum computers running combat algorithms that had been perfected through millions of simulated battles. The fleet tried to fight back, but it was useless. Their weapons were too slow. Their tactics were predictable. Their systems were being hacked in real time by Earth's electronic warfare suite. 5 minutes into the battle, 30 ships were destroyed. 10 minutes in, 70 more were disabled, their systems completely compromised. 15 minutes in, Commander realized they were going to lose. "All ships, emergency retreat, get out of this system." But when the remaining ships tried to engage their faster-than-light drives, nothing happened. They were locked out of their own propulsion systems. "Commander," a terrified ensign shouted, "they've taken control of our drives. We can't jump." A new transmission came through, this time on every ship simultaneously. Admiral's face appeared. She was calm, sitting in what looked like a command center. "Commander, your fleet is disabled. Your weapons are offline, your drives are locked. You have two options. Option 1, surrender your ships peacefully. Option 2, I activate the charges my people placed on your reactors and you all die. You have 60 seconds to decide." "That's impossible," said. "How did you?" 30 seconds. Looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him with terror in their eyes. None of them had ever been in real danger before. They were paralyzed. 15 seconds. "We surrender," shouted. "We surrender, please." Admiral nodded. "Smart choice. All vessels will now be escorted to holding orbits. Crews will remain on their ships. Any attempt to regain control of your systems will result in immediate destruction." On the council station, absolute silence filled the viewing chambers. Every species was watching in shock. The mighty Grand Fleet defeated in less than 20 minutes, 30 ships destroyed, the rest captured without firing a single effective shot. Then new alarms started blaring across the council station. "What now?" the collective mind demanded. An analyst stammered out a report. "We're detecting human military vessels in orbit around every council home world." "What?" "Ships, sir. Human ships. They're just sitting there. They appeared simultaneously about 5 minutes ago." "How many ships?" "At least 50 vessels per world. They're not attacking. They're not doing anything, just hovering in orbit." On Earth, Admiral addressed the council directly. The transmission went out on all channels, public and private. "Council members, this is Admiral of Earth Defense Forces. What you just witnessed was 11% of our active military, not our total military, just 11% of the forces we currently have deployed." She paused to let that sink in. "The ships now in orbit around your worlds are not invasion forces. They're a message. The message is simple: we can reach you, anytime, anywhere. You cannot stop us. You cannot hide from us." Another pause. "But we don't want to fight you. We never did. We came to space looking for partners, not enemies. You turned us into enemies by treating us like resources to exploit. That was a mistake. So here's what happens next. Regulation 7743 is dead. Anyone who tries to revive it will deal with me personally. Earth will remain an independent member of the Council, with full rights and full respect. Any species that has a problem with that can discuss it with the ships currently in their orbit. And one more thing, the fleet crews are unharmed. We'll return their ships after we finish studying them, not because we need to, but because we want you to understand something important. We're better than you are. Stronger, faster, smarter, but we still choose mercy when possible. That's the difference between you and us. You forgot that power comes with responsibility. We never forgot, because where we come from, forgetting that lesson means extinction. Admiral leaned forward. Council session is adjourned. Think very carefully about what happens next. The transmission ended. Back in his office, the ambassador and Admiral Nuh stood in silence for a long moment. Finally spoke. That was more than 30 minutes. 23 minutes, Nuh corrected, but who's counting? Do you think they got the message? Nuh looked at the screen showing council members evacuating the chamber in a panic. Oh, they got the message. Sat down. For the first time in weeks he felt the tension leaving his shoulders. So what happens now? Now, Nuh smiled. Now they realized that the polite human ambassador was actually the scary option, because when they pushed you too far, they met us. And we're not polite, finished. No, Nuh agreed. We're really not. 7 days after the battle, the council chamber looked very different. The seats were empty. Their government had collapsed in the chaos following the defeat. 3 different factions were fighting for control of their home world, and none of them wanted anything to do with the council right now. The remaining 6 species sat in awkward silence. Ambassador stood at the human platform, back in his diplomatic suit and tie. But this time, when he smiled, everyone knew exactly what it meant. Honored members, began, his voice friendly but firm. Thank you for accepting Earth's request to speak. I know the past week has been difficult for everyone. The collective mind spoke, its unified voice quieter than before. You humiliated us. You proved that everything we believed about ourselves was a lie. No, said, we proved that you'd been comfortable for too long. There's a difference. The Shen ambassador, a small creature with silver fur, spoke up nervously. What do you want from us, ambassador? Are you here to conquer the council? If we wanted to conquer you, we would have already done it, replied. The ships that appeared in your orbits could have destroyed your worlds before you knew they were there. But they didn't. They just waited, and then they left. So what was the point? Another species asked. Admiral Nuh, standing beside in her uniform again, answered that. The point was to make you understand reality. You've been living in a fantasy where you were powerful because nobody challenged you. We challenged you. We won. Now we can move forward with honest relationships instead of pretend ones. Honest relationships, the collective mind repeated. Is that what you call military occupation? We're not occupying anyone, said. All human vessels have returned to our space, except for the ones monitoring territory. And those are there to prevent a civil war from spilling into neutral space, not to take sides. One of the smaller species, spoke up. What about our security? If the collapse completely, there's no one to maintain order in 3 sectors. That's not entirely true, said. Earth would be happy to assist with peacekeeping operations, but we do it as partners, not as rulers. Partners, said slowly. You mean equals. That's exactly what I mean. The collective mind buzzed with internal discussion for a moment. You have the power to dictate terms. Why are you offering partnership instead? Leaned forward. Because we remember where we came from. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We built weapons that could destroy our entire world. We came very close to wiping ourselves out more than once. You know what saved us? Silence. We learned that power without wisdom is just destruction. We learned that you can win every battle and still lose everything that matters. We learned that the strongest civilization isn't the one with the biggest weapons. It's the one that knows when to use them and when to put them away. You're saying you're better than us, one species said bitterly. No, Nuh interjected. We're saying we've made all the mistakes you're about to make. We've been the arrogant empire. We've been the bully who thought strength meant never showing mercy, and we paid for it in blood and suffering. So you came to space hopping to find something different, the Shen said softly. Yes, confirmed. We hoped you'd be better than us, better than what we were anyway, but you weren't. You were just older versions of our own mistakes. The collective mind considered this, so now you're forcing us to change. No, we're offering you the chance to change. There's a difference. Pulled up a holographic document. This is what Earth proposes, a new council structure. No more elder and junior species. No more civilization taxes or forced tributes. Each member has equal voice and equal vote. They will never accept that, someone said. They are in no position to accept or reject anything right now, Na pointed out. And when they do stabilize, they'll accept it because the alternative is dealing with Earth's military. You're threatening us, the collective mind accused. No, said patiently. I'm stating facts. Earth has the strongest military in known space. That's not a threat. It's just true. What we do with that strength is the question. We can use it to build a real alliance based on mutual respect, or we can use it to enforce order the way you used to. Which do you prefer? The council members looked at each other. Finally, the Shen spoke. What guarantees do we have? How do we know you won't become the new, using your strength to dominate everyone else? Had expected this question. You don't have guarantees, not absolute ones. But here's what you do have, our history. Everything we've done, every choice we've made has been recorded. You can study us, learn from us, and you'll see that humans are capable of both incredible violence and incredible compassion. We choose compassion when possible, Na added. But we're very, very good at violence when necessary. That's what makes us different. We know the cost of war, so we work harder for peace. The collective mind spoke again. And if we reject your proposal, then we go our separate ways, said simply. Earth will maintain its independence and its military. We'll establish our own alliances with species who want genuine partnerships. The Council can continue as it was, minus thee and minus us. You'd fracture the Council, thee asked, alarmed. The Council fractured itself when it tried to exploit us, Na said. We're offering to help fix it, but we won't force you. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The species were communicating with their governments, consulting with advisors, running calculations about military strength and political advantage. Finally, the Shen stood. The Shen people accept Earth's proposal. We vote for a reformed council based on equality. One by one, the other species agreed. Some enthusiastically, some reluctantly, but all of them agreed. The mathematics was simple. They could work with humans or they could oppose them. Working with humans seemed much safer. Then it's settled, said. We'll spend the next month drafting the new council charter. All species will have input. All species will have equal say in the final document. The session ended with something that hadn't happened in centuries, genuine hope. The council was changing, and maybe that change would be good for everyone. Weeks passed. The new council structure took shape. They eventually stabilized under a new government that was much more humble than the previous one. They petitioned to rejoin the council under the new equal terms, and the vote to accept them passed unanimously. Ambassador stood in his office, packing his belongings. Admiral had recalled him to Earth. His diplomatic mission was complete. Na entered. You're really leaving. Time for someone else to take over, said. I've been here 15 years, that's enough. What will you do? I'm going to teach, said. Earth is training a new generation of diplomats, people who understand both peace and war. I think I have something to teach them. Like how to smile while planning military operations. Laughed something like that. Appeared in the doorway. The new ambassador is here, minister herself. Earth is taking the council seriously now. Good, said, she'll do well. The three of them stood together for a moment, looking out at the council station through the office window. Do you think it will last? Asked, this new council. Maybe, said, if everyone remembers what happened here, if they remember that power requires responsibility, If they remember that the strongest civilizations are the ones who choose peace even when they could choose war. And if they forget, Na asked. Smile returned, the diplomatic one he'd worn for so many years. But now everyone knew what it really meant. If they forget, Admiral will remind them. Na laughed, fair enough. 6 months later, a young species made contact with the Council. They were nervous, uncertain, afraid of how the more advanced civilizations would treat them. The new Council welcomed them with genuine warmth. They were offered trade agreements, technology sharing, and defensive alliances, all on equal terms. The young species ambassador asked why they were being treated so well. Minister smiled and said, "Because a very wise species taught us that strength without kindness is just tyranny, and we learned that lesson the hard way." The young ambassador looked confused. "What species taught you that?" "The humans," said. "They showed up 15 years ago, smiled politely while we treated them badly, and then when we pushed too far, they showed us exactly what real power looks like. And then instead of conquering us, they taught us how to be better." "They sound terrifying." "Oh, they are," agreed. "But they're also our closest allies and our best friends, because the thing about humans is this: they're incredibly dangerous when you threaten them, but incredibly loyal when you treat them with respect." "I'd like to meet them," the young ambassador said. "You will. There's a human delegation arriving next week. They're very friendly, just don't make the mistake they made." "What mistake was that?" "They confused politeness with weakness. The humans were being polite because they chose to be, not because they had to be. When they finally understood the difference, their entire civilization nearly collapsed." The young ambassador swallowed nervously. "I'll remember that." "Good," said, "because the humans have a saying, walk softly and carry a big stick. They'll be the friendliest beings you ever meet, but never forget what happens when you push them too far." "What happens?" Minister pulled up a recording of the battle at Earth. The young ambassador watched in silence as the Grand Fleet was systematically destroyed in less than half an hour. "That's what happens," said quietly. "So be their friend, it's much, much safer." On Earth, Ambassador sat in a classroom full of young diplomats. He was teaching them the fundamentals of galactic relations. On the board behind him, he'd written a simple phrase: "Diplomacy is the art of getting what you want without having to kill anyone, but you should always be ready to kill everyone if necessary." A student raised their hand. "Sir, isn't that a contradiction?" Smiled. It was the real smile now, not the diplomatic mask. "No, it's called being human. We're the species that builds hospitals and warships in equal measure. We're the ones who write poetry and design weapons. We're capable of both incredible love and incredible violence." "Which one should we choose?" "Both," said. "Choose peace. Work for peace. Sacrifice for peace. But never ever forget how to fight. Because the moment you forget, someone will remind you, and that reminder will cost lives." "Is that what happened with the Council?" "Yes, they forgot how to fight. They thought their age and numbers made them invincible. We reminded them that neither age nor numbers matter if you're not willing to use them." Another student asked, "Do you regret it, sir, the battle?" Thought for a moment. "I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. Because sometimes the only way to achieve real peace is to demonstrate that you're capable of real war. The Council learned that, and now we have a better, stronger alliance because of it." He turned back to the board. "Remember this, all of you. The galaxy is full of species who will respect you or exploit you. The choice is yours. Be kind, be generous, be diplomatic, but never ever let anyone think you're weak. Because the day they think you're weak is the day they try to take everything you have." The students nodded, taking notes. Looked at them and felt something he hadn't felt in years: hope. These young people would carry humanity's legacy forward. They would be the diplomats who built bridges and the warriors who defended them. They would be everything humanity needed to survive and thrive among the stars. And they would smile politely, right up until the moment they didn't need to smile anymore.